All right. Welcome back to YDKB. And let me just start. We apologize. I know it's been a little while. You guys probably like thinking, where are they at? They weren't going to come back. Here we are, though. And we're back. New change of sceneries. You might have noticed some things are different. But one thing has not changed. We are here to talk football, bring out fresh content, fun content, consistently. Let's eat. And we got Dylan here as a guest today. Dylan, tell him what's going on. Tell him what you're thinking.
I'm back here as a guest. Obviously, a little change of scenery. A lot of different life things going on, so the show kind of took a little sidestep, but I'm excited to be around and helping periodically. Come on as a guest whenever. And we're going to have a good time.
We are. We're always going to have a good time every week. And so today what we had planned for y'all is let me be clear about this. I see that today I saw a few different places posting saying, the report cards as if they thought of it. No. I thought of this like a week ago. I was ahead of the game. No, I'm just playing. But seriously. So we're going to do report cards based on kind of combining free agency, trades, just anything along those lines. You just give them a report card on the offseason. And we're going to go division by division. We're going to start off with AFC East. And I'm going to toss it to Dylan here first. He's going to take the Bills for you guys. And, just kind of like favorite moves along with it and just kind of, combine it and do a grade.
Yeah, so I'm trying to really think, like, what would you say their biggest needs were heading into the offseason?
I feel like me and Hunter would say a lot. I feel like the Bills are one of those teams where they're kind of really good at every position, but you got to make that splash move. This might sound a little weird because I don't think I expected to say this, but I think right now in a weird way, their biggest need is another superstar receiver. They have a lot of, besides Stephon, they have a lot of good receivers, but I think now, like we say, you kind of, especially in the AFC, you need two groundbreakers, unless you're the Chiefs. So I don't know. I feel like right now, maybe in a weird way, that next move is to get that big superstar receiver besides Stephon.
Do you wanna go ahead and drop it? Say what you were saying before the pod.
Remind me.
D-Hop.
Yeah. So I got to give Hunter credit again. He was the one who put this in my mind. He planted the seed. But yeah, I'm thinking D-Hop to the Bills could be. A power move. You got to think who's available. Would they want to come play for us? I see no reason D-Hop wouldn't want to say, I'm gonna come over here, play with the Bills, put myself in Super Bowl contention. Just getting a little bit older. It sounds like a really good spot to him for me, or for him.
I like that a lot. D-Hop and Diggs is pretty crazy, and I think when you're looking at the D-Hop sweepstakes too, like the Chiefs are like one of the biggest teams that are connected to him. And I feel like if you're the Bills and the two juggernauts are competing for the same free agent, we don't know if the Bills are, but I feel like you can edge out the Chiefs by making that move and getting D-Hop too.
Oh, absolutely. Like we were saying, I think I want to see the Bills show me more urgency, that they really are ready to go compete for the Lombardi this year. Because we know they are, but show me the urgency.
I'm just going to say like a straight up C right now. They just signed Taylor Rapp today, I think, too.
They did.
So, I think he's a good player. So it doesn't hurt to add him. But like all their signings are just like, you said, like, some of them are good. And then others are just like, I actually do like the Damian Harris one because I feel like, James Cook was really good last year. And then obviously I'm blanking on name for Colts running back traded for
Naheem Hines.
Yeah, like he's a great special. Well, I don't know. He could be utilized, I think, but he's more of a gadget player. So getting like a good downhill runner like Damian Harris, I think is really important. But yeah, C, nothing crazy.
I think that's pretty much right where I was thinking. It's it wasn't terrible. There was some good fillers in there, but not the splash I'm looking for. So we're gonna move on to the Dolphins. And I think, Dolphins fans know they had a really good offseason. The Jalen Ramsey move, crucial. That's making a splash. But when I look at everything, I don't know if it's an A offseason. I feel like it's a B plus because I don't look at necessarily maybe any of the other moves and say, oh, any of these are incredibly, important moves. But I do think you look at, the Jalen Ramsey move and you say that's enough to at least put you in B plus territory. And that's exactly where I'm going to put him. I'm going to give the Dolphins a B plus.
No, I like that too. They didn't really have like a whole lot they needed to fill. I think they had a good roster. I think they got kind of crippled by quarterback play last year and like lack of having Tua on the field. So I'm really curious to see how they address that position. I'm not really buying the whole like, dude, I don't know. Coming from a guy that's had concussions in my life, like I firmly believe I don't think Tua should play football anymore. But that aside, they have to have a better plan than Mike White, I think, for backup. I think he's a good backup, but like long term, like I don't know. It's a weird position to be in.
Back to the Mike White debate. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he can play good, but it's just like, is he gonna bring you a bowl? Like, is he gonna win playoff games?
The
Like,
Dolphins are right in that same position we've seen so many teams in. Like they're in that position. Like we got everything except for the most important position. Even though you have a good one, we don't. There's so much contingency around him right now. Actually, I think there's more of a contingency around Tua than any quarterback I've ever seen have contingency placed upon them. It's literally like the most, I don't want to say weird situation because it's not his fault, but it's a very odd situation.
yeah, it's not his fault at all. It's just like, I don't know. It's just the cards that he was dealt, unfortunately, that the team was dealt, and I don't know. It's not a good place to be in.
Nobody saw his position happening. The first few weeks of the year, if you told me right now, we'd be saying like
They were cooking.
without context that we'd be debating Tua's future on the Dolphins. It doesn't even make sense, but it does when you put the context into it.
Hunter, what are your thoughts on Tua?
I actually like Tua. I know there's a lot of Tua haters out there. I guess my concern is like when you're going all in on a roster like this, do you want the most important position to be a question mark? Like, this is not the greatest comparison, but when you look at like the 2018 Bears and you have such a dominant defense and the offense can get by, and then the one question mark is like, Trubisky's playing good too. I mean, the kicker ultimately screwed it, but like the quarterback position was ultimately the weak spot. And my thing is like, you're in an ultra competitive conference. Like, is Tua gonna win a shootout with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Is he going to win a shootout with Trevor Lawrence? Is he going to win a shootout with Josh Allen? I mean, like the Bills-Dolphins games last year, they were close, right? I mean, like from my understanding.
Really close. Well, okay, so the Dolphins won in Miami, and that was just kind of a weird game, if I remember correctly. Like some turnovers and stuff, and I don't know. It was like 19-17 was the final score.
They both were weird
But-
games too.
Okay, the game in Buffalo late in the year, that was a really good game.
Yeah.
And like both offenses played very well from what I remember. I think it was a pretty high scoring game.
No, yeah, and that was a big blizzard game, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that game shows you that Tua can play in the snow. You know, that was something right there. But that's the thing is we're not questioning Tua's abilities in any way at this point. It's just a situation he's been dealt.
Yeah. December 17th, Bills 32, Dolphins 29. So I don't know. I think so. The other part to this too is Mike McDaniel is another great offensive mind. And aside, I'm excited to see how he performs in year 2 because defenses have a year to like prepare for him and whatnot. But I think he absolutely can really elevate the success of a quarterback too. So
Also, I think like if the Dolphins are in the NFC, they're like a 1 or 2 seed.
No, absolutely.
yeah, probably.
AFC, it's like, where are they going to be?
Yeah.
Are they going to be like 5, 6 seed? Like, what is going on there?
That's the problem. It could very well be the same thing as this year. We know it. Having a great roster isn't, the quarterback's the most important thing. We've been preaching this forever. So
all right, should we move on to the Patriots?
I'm thinking the Patriots.
So right off the rip, I was just gonna say like a B-. I think James Rob's good to get another back with Ramondre. I think Juju is a fine receiver. Nothing too crazy. Gesicki, like you were saying, I think that's a nice add too for the offense. But like, other than that, looking at it, they kind of just like re-signed a lot of guys, which isn't bad, but it's like the roster's still like very mediocre to me,
No, yeah, it's like I don't even want to say like mediocre. I just think it's like they're in that like I guess that is mediocre what I'm going to say, but it's like whether they could make the playoffs, but it's like you're not worried about them winning a game.
Yeah, and I mean when you look at their division, like I think the Dolphins are going to finish above them too. I think the Bills obviously are, so it's like they're aiming for a wild card spot. Like I don't know.
How about this? If Belichick wasn't coaching them, that's actually, I'll say like this. If Belichick wasn't coaching them, I think they're like a 6-7 win team. So
yeah,
I guess I just have to look at it like that. So yeah, I guess they're mediocre.
Like plus
like
2 or
the
3
roster
with-
right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going, all right, so B-. I would say that's like right around what I was thinking, like C+, B-. I like that. Feels weird giving the Patriots much lower, to be honest. So on to the Jets. So Jets one of those weird teams where I don't, it's kind of hard to grade the offseason because the biggest move that they're supposed to make, gonna make hasn't happened yet. But so I was thinking, what should I do? Should I include that into the grade or should I not? Because if I include that into the grade and somehow shit hits the fan and that doesn't go through, that'll be terrible. But I almost just see no way that happens at this point. So you know what? I'm going to just go with what we've been told, what everyone's telling us, what Aaron Rodgers is telling us, the Jets are telling us, the Packers are telling us. he'll end up on the Jets some way, somehow. And when that happens, we have to give the Jets an A because the Jets pulled it off. They're going to make the playoffs very likely if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, which should happen for the first time in, it's been at least a decade, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been since like 2012 or something.
So at least, so they have like won a playoff game too. So, okay. So they have a chance to win a playoff game, I know, for the first time in over a decade. So I'd say, yeah, I think then they're making all the moves for Aaron Rodgers, all the things he likes, all the guys he likes. I said I love the Miko move. Yeah, I'm thinking the Jets get an A.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like all contingent on Rodgers, right? Because
it is.
Obviously, you're trading for a player that's going to be there for max a year or two, but he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So it's like
they're going all in. It's the all in thing. You know what? I'm for it. The Rams showed us you got to go all in sometimes.
That's a great point.
I think something really quickly undervalued in this trade is like, if it goes through, regardless of your thoughts on Zach Wilson, he can sit and learn behind one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. And there's a chance that it's not a lost pick.
Yeah.
It's a chance that he's a late bloomer. And then once Rodgers is gone, you have Wilson. Because no one knows how long Rodgers is going to play.
I like a year or two max.
Yeah. So there's always that chance that Wilson picks up enough in those 2 years that he can be your guy going forward.
How crazy would that be?
We've
what
always
a wild story that would be.
We've always said, at least from my perspective, I liked him a lot coming out of college. I think the biggest issue we look at him now, it's like, hey, that dude just needs to grow up a little bit. There's a few things, he's got to step up here. And I think that's what Aaron Rodgers, help with that in tenfold. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I've never had a firm stance on Zach Wilson, like Tyler did. But I mean, the tools are there. It was just mental. Everything was mental. So if he can harness his Zen or Chi and just like focus and like be a killer. Sure.
They need to go on some retreat together. Gas.
Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are in a dark room
Taking Zach
together.
Wilson out his fucking element. He never done shit like that. He'd be shook.
Bro, he would be. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best.
That's
thing
not
for him,
BYU
actually.
shit.
I don't know if they can do that.
That's the point. It's exactly what he needs. He
He'd
just
be
doesn't realize
terrified.
it. He doesn't realize that he needs something like that.
He'd
He needs
be
Aaron Rodgers to bring him
terrified.
out of that, like, he's got to, I don't know.
All right, move on to the AFC North.
Let's get it.
Okay, so the Ravens are getting an F because I'm just like, we talked about it on the pod earlier too. It's like, I have so much respect for Harbaugh, and I just can't believe that this is happening. And granted, it's probably more the front office's fault than him because he would love to have Lamar Jackson back, I'm sure. But they've also just been a good organization for like my entire life, it seems like doing the right things, handling it correctly. And I don't know, this is a very poorly managed situation, and yeah, it doesn't look good for them.
To your point, they've literally basically been around almost, if I'm not mistaken, basically our entire like lives. Like I think they were pretty much at the same time when we were born around. So yeah, like they have never been like a mistake making franchise. Eric DeCosta's been consistent until recently, and he's fallen off the rails. That's the first thing. I don't know what Eric DeCosta's thinking. And number two, this feels like one of those times where you look at a franchise from afar and you're like, that is about to be a big era change. So they're going to find a way to scapegoat John Harbaugh once things start falling off the rails when they don't pay Lamar. Then the GM's next.
I'd be so disappointed.
And then you got a whole new Ravens franchise. And I think that's almost like what this feels like. Because again, this is one of those times where you're going to look back and say the grass isn't always greener on the other side, where it's like, yeah, paying Lamar a lot kind of sucks. And yeah, there's a lot of contingencies with that. But then they're going to be, I guarantee you, we'll look back and listen 3 or 4 years when the Ravens are still. This is a strong prediction, but I just feel like it's kind of where we're headed with them, where it's like they will still be getting back into gear. And then we're going to say like, well, yeah, you should have paid Lamar. He was the guy that would have kept everything rolling. He is literally that guy where he's the X factor on the team. He'll find a way to at least make the game competitive. And that's what they're giving up on.
Also, just to read off their moves this offseason, they gave Lamar Jackson the non-exclusive franchise tag. They re-signed Justice Hill. They signed Nelson Eckler. They re-signed Trayvon Mullen and re-signed Geno Stone. So they made like 5 moves. And the biggest thing was the wide receiver room. And they signed Nelson Eckler. That was it. I know they don't have a lot of cap space, but I don't know. It's bad.
No, it's like genuinely, it's actually like troublesome and makes no sense at the same time. I'm telling you more and more, my theory from last year is coming to fruition, that these motherfuckers literally willingly didn't give Lamar a receiver for all these years just to try to pay him less than he was worth. And now he's not taking that shit and they're screwed. So I'm just saying, like, that's why I think the Ravens really are in one of these I mean, they're in a dire position. Really, what do we see the Ravens doing this year? We saw how that, not to tell how they can't hold it down and kind of make it close, but it's not the same thing. And regardless, the Ravens offense really doesn't put up a lot of points. If the defense gets worse, and, people get older, lose a few guys, it's like, where are the Ravens going?
Well,
down.
Also, I think they let go of Calais Campbell too, I believe. And then I don't know. I think also just to say this, like, it also looks worse that you traded for Roquan Smith, gave a second and a fifth, and then you give him 5 years, $100 million, and you can't go get a receiver. Like, regardless of like how you like, look at how these receivers are being valued right now. Pennies on the dollar. Like, you can get a good receiver for cheap. Look at Elijah Moore. I know that's a situation like in a vacuum because it's all dependent on the Aaron Rodgers trying to clear room for, receivers are bringing in. But when you see what receivers are going, Brandon Cooks for a fifth and a sixth, I think, and you can't get Lamar a single guy, like at that point, the organization is just not doing what it needs to do.
Well, I think they really screwed themselves over with cap space too, because like right now they have, where are they? $6 million in cap space. And I know when free agency first started, they didn't have a lot either. I think that's probably why they made like close to no moves. But like at that point, you got to like trade away some draft stock to get a guy like on a cheaper side. And maybe you have to give a higher pick, but like you got to do something to make it worthwhile for Lamar, or for him to be like, okay, they're actually putting in an effort. Maybe I'll sign for a little bit less than I wanted to. And like, because they're treating me right. But like, they have done nothing.
No, right. And like, last thing about the Ravens, we'll move on. But to Hunter's point about, Roquan, I don't understand at all the thought process of let's make this guy the highest paid linebacker in the league, which is essentially in today's era of football. I don't mean this disrespectfully. It's just true. Essentially the like least, I don't want to say least important, but the most replaceable position on a defense. So it's like we're taking the most replaceable position, making him the highest paid, and we don't even really have much of a plan on the defense. The offense is terrible. And linebackers just don't really, they're not the essential defender usually to winning games. And it's like, that's kind of why I'm just saying, it's like they paid him the premium first, and there's no plan to win playoff games in place. Yeah. He will be old by the time that the Ravens are in place to go win a Super Bowl at this rate. So it's like, I don't understand what they were thinking. No one does. This was a GM disaster class by Eric DeCosta, and there's just no two ways about it.
Yeah, I think he just messed up, and like now they're in this spot and there's like nothing to do really.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where they're at. So F for the Ravens. And then that leaves me with the Bengals. And I think the Bengals are one of those positions where I don't want to give them, I can't give them an A. I don't even know. I don't know if the B plus. I'm gonna give them at least a B though. I think they made a lot of moves. They made a lot of, not necessarily. They made a lot of. I feel like all the moves they made were kind of big things they needed. So I'll give them a B plus. I think the Bengals did things they needed to do. Orlando Brown's an upgrade over Jonah, so I like it. If Orlando shows up and plays how he played for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I mean, it'll be a bomb signing. I know a lot of people are nervous about that. There are a lot of Chiefs fans like, oh, you're not, you think he is. I love Orlando Brown. I think he's gonna be a great addition. I think for the way Joe Burrow plays too, he gets the ball really quick. Good, good. What's the word here? Good pairing. And yeah, I just think all in all, at first I didn't think I was gonna lean B plus, but I'll go B plus for the Bengals.
And just real quick, I know, did you want Orlando Brown?
I wanted him basically to shore up the line. By the way, this is coming from like a Bears perspective.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I want him to shore up the line, but I also understand that like he's much better fit in Cincinnati. Just because of the way, like Dobbs was saying, like his play style. And that was kind of another thing is like when you have like a quarterback that moves, you got to make sure your tackles can fit that. Like Orlando Brown is huge.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he's moving around like that. And Mahomes can scramble, but he's not getting out of the pocket that much compared to like a Justin or like a Lamar, So I don't know. I would have wanted him to shore up the line, but it is what it is. I like Braxton. I didn't want to move him to right tackle because if you can get a left tackle in the 5th round and develop him to be a starting left tackle, that's a steal. Filling right tackle, I feel like is much easier. So
much easier.
I would rather be in this position. I mean, but I don't think the contract was like too crazy to give him, if that makes sense. Because they front loaded it.
That's why it feels like the Bears missed out.
It was less than what everyone had thought.
It was like $16 million a year.
And they thought he was going to be in like the 80 range, like McGlinchey was,
Yeah.
but he wasn't.
No.
He was lower.
Well, I think that's a team that would have let him play left tackle. But I also think Jonah Williams is not going to play right
Yeah.
because then he's going to get paid like a right tackle.
I think that's why he wanted to get traded.
Yeah.
If
But
I had
Lau
to guess.
Collins was injured and he didn't play that great last year. So what are they? I don't know. And Jonah Williams didn't play that great last year either. So I don't really know.
I know they're thinking about, if I'm not mistaken, I know that they are thinking about cutting the right tackle. So I know that still is a possibility because, like you said, he was injured all last year. He played like shit. So I don't. If they do that, maybe the offseason goes up to an A. If they get that cap back and they can reinvest that cap, maybe the Bengals can shoot up to an A.
No, I like that. All right, I'm going to go on to the Browns. I'm going to say like an A-. I don't know. It seems like, well, they got Elijah Moore, and I think that's important because the wide receiver room was not there last year. I mean, besides Amari Cooper, like they had some guys contributing, but it wasn't like a solidified number 2. So if Elijah Moore can back up everything that he's been saying over the last year and prove that he's a number 2 guy, then I think that'll be a great trade. Not great trade, but a good trade. It seems like they re-signed a lot of the guys that they needed to. They also got Juan Thornhill. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like actually a pretty underrated offseason from the Browns.
No, yeah, and one more thing I just wanted to highlight too real quick about this. Like you're saying, I think A- is like the perfect it's the perfect grade. Dalvin Tomlinson, you pair that big body with Myles Garrett on the edge of him, like you're creating a lot of one-on-ones that are going to be, and I'm sure that was the mindset. They're like, just get me a big dude. Let me put him in the middle and put him to the left of Myles and just watch what Myles is going to have. Because in certain run sets, especially in third down sets and stuff like that, he'll have a lot of one-on-ones that he doesn't normally have. And I think that's the biggest move I look at from the Browns this offseason, where I'm like, all right, you know what? Because how much was the contract to? $57 million? Big signing, but you got to do stuff like that when you're going for it. And I think this is one of those underrated signings from the offseason.
So yeah, they also added Maurice Hurst too. And I think another D tackle. And I didn't even realize that they were this bad against the run, but they gave up 135 yards per game on the ground. So it's clear that they wanted to address that, and they did. So, I mean, hats off to them.
And nobody's really even talked about it. You know what? It feels like we're kind of the first one too, besides like Browns beat writers and stuff. So shout outs to us, that Browns interior coming together.
Yeah, I actually like the Dalvin Tomlinson signing. I think Myles Garrett, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was blanking on his name.
I'm not going to lie.
He was called Miles so much.
Bro, real quick. I've been paying so much attention to baseball and like March Madness. Saying all these NFL players, I'm just kind of like tweaking on the names.
You're getting back in the rhythm, bro. It's okay. We're all, we got to get back in the rhythm. But I was just saying, like, from the way I look at it, this is going to be one of those things where when I say it, it's going to be a little out of context. But trust me, like Browns fans will look back on this and know what I'm saying. No, the Dalvin Tomlinson signing really does feel like if he can stay healthy and Myles can stay healthy and they have like a good era together, you'll look back at that and be like, you kind of look back at an era of a defense and be like, that was a great era. Like this is like one of those times for the Browns where you can look back, like this would be like, oh yeah, like that era with that D line, like yeah, that was a good era for this defense. Defense is about to be stout for a long time, it looks like. So that leaves the Steelers next. And then I don't really know how I feel about the Steelers offseason. I think I'm going to put them into that, like, what do you, like a stinking C minus?
Yeah, I mean,
I like Isaac Somalo. I do like that. It's a good Steelers signing. Plug him in, plug and play.
They really need their O-line. I mean, Patrick Peterson, you can't really go wrong. I mean, he's old, but
re-signing Zach Gentry too. That's the thing is they're like fairly solid moves.
I just feel like they didn't do enough.
No, I mean, that's, again, for a franchise that you expect to always be in the mix, to always be making big moves, it's kind of like how we feel about the Patriots right now, where it's like, where's that dog that we expect from that franchise?
And I also think that Tomlin just gets his team to overperform every year too. Like, they probably should not have done as good as they did last year.
This is an every year thing.
Yeah.
They're just going to give him like scraps and be like, just make it work.
Yeah. And maybe that's kind of like what happened to John Harbaugh too. They were just like,
whoa, we're onto something with
they
the
just
AFC
get so
North.
lackadaisical with the roster because they think that the coach can just overperform the players. And I don't know. It's just weird. They just did not do enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're going C minus.
Yeah.
That's even being generous the more I think about it. Like C minus is generous for the Steelers. But they're the Steelers, so I can't give them a D. It just feels wrong.
All right. Okay. We are going to the AFC South with the Texans. I mean, so many signings.
There's like
I'm gonna say like I guess like a B plus. I don't know. What do you think?
I was thinking BB plus.
Okay, so let's just run through it real quick. I like Devin Singletary. I think that's a good complimentary back to Dameon Pierce. Noah Brown performed very well for the Cowboys, and it gives him an opportunity to actually play. Robert Woods, I don't know. I was so hype on Bobby Trees, but he just wasn't really himself last year.
10 million guaranteed too. Like, am I missing something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're guaranteeing money to someone who's basically guaranteed to not play half the year. Like, I love Bobby Trees too, but
Dalton Schultz, great signing for tight end. I mean, they had Jordan Akins, and who was the they had another tight end that they kind of liked that was young.
I'm blanking so hard, but I'll give it to you in 1 second because I know exactly what you mean. Hold on.
He was in the draft. He went to Florida, I think.
You said they signed who?
No, they drafted him like 2 years ago at tight end. I'm blanking super hard, whatever. But Dalton Schultz, he really very much so pinned himself, and now he's on the Texans. But great signing for the Texans. Re-signing Laramie Tunsil, good. Shaq Mason, good. Chase Winovich, sure. Corey Littleton, good signing. Denzel Perryman, good signing. Jimmy Ward, good signing. Like, they have a lot of good signings. I think they're just looking for guys that are going to help them bridge into like the new era. And you know, hopefully D'Amico Ryan's that guy and can rejuvenate that franchise.
No, this feels like exactly what you're saying. It's just one of those years where you're kind of going to get the wheels moving. Nothing crazy, but let's get this thing back on the road, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so on to the Colts.
What was the grade for this one?
We're going like a B plus.
B plus.
So you cool with that?
I'm liking B plus.
They just seemed like they signed a lot of like guys.
Yeah,
it's a lot of guys. It's a lot of positions they needed too, though. Like, yeah. I can see Jimmy Ward coming in playing good. I can see Shaq Mason's going to come in play good. Like you said, also too. The biggest one though is definitely Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz has the potential to be really big move for them if they can get him re-signed and he has a good year.
Brevin Jordan was the guy I was thinking of.
I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure.
Stud at Florida.
No, I'll say he's got a lot. He's got a lot of physical tools, and I just got to put it all together. But I thought that's what you meant. I just had to make sure. All right, but yeah. So on to the Colts. I'm thinking we look at the Colts and let's be realistic. There's no way I can give them more than a C minus. I'm sorry. I like the Samson Ebukam move, but that's the problem. That's all I really look at, and I say the Colts really went crazy. Matt Gay is a solid signing. You know what I mean? It's like if Matt Gay is the second best movie made all off season,
did they trade for him?
No, I think they signed
gave him
him.
like a 4-year, $22 million deal.
That's the part of the problem too. Like, did they not see how fluctuating kickers are in the league? Like, the one guy who's an all-pro the next year will miss 7 kicks. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, that this is like, that he's like, not everybody's Robbie Gold, all right? Like, not everybody just kicks good every year. It's really not how it goes. I personally don't understand that signing at all because I didn't see it was for that much. I thought it was just that they signed like a 1-year deal or something. Now I'm seeing this is for $22.5 million. If it's not
gave him a
avoidable,
bag.
It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'm going. The Colts get a D.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, I actually wanted to ask this too because the Colts signed Gardner Minshew and then the Texans signed Case Keenum. Like, would it shock either of you if they did not draft a quarterback?
So I could see the Colts not doing it.
I'm not saying, I just want to preface this because that could be taken out of context horribly. I'm not saying that those are the guys and they're like, yeah, we're fine with them.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know.
You roll for
maybe
Caleb?
like another bridge and they just wait for next year. Yeah. Like Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Teams aren't going to say it, but if there's a year that people want to suck, like really suck, it's going to be now.
Yeah.
I mean, like every time I watch Caleb Williams, I mean, it's literally like, what? Like this
I love
dude,
Caleb Williams. I'm so high on him.
Everyone knows it's not like this is a hot take, but I would literally, you take him over like, well, I'm trying to think who I would take over him that's come out besides Joe Burrow over the last. I would take him over Trevor Lawrence. I would take Joe Burrow just was so innately clutch and everything about him. But like, I don't know. Other than that, I'll take Caleb over everybody. And it's like,
I just think like Chris Ballard really only has one more shot at a QB. So like if his pitch to ownership is let's do it and let's get Caleb Williams next year, I understand it. I understand if they don't take him. I know they were in for the number 1 spot, but they didn't get him. So I don't know.
That's the thing is though, is it's like if you don't do this year and then you try and swing for the fences next year and you don't get that first overall pick, he's canned. There's gonna be so many. So it's
What
like
are the
big
quarterback
risk.
prospects next year?
Caleb Williams and like Drake
Yeah, I'd say
May, and then
Drake.
there's a bunch of just other names out there. The only thing I will say is like, I mean, their moves kind of like, if you think about it, they let Okereke walk. He's at the Giants. They traded Gilmore. So they're kind of getting rid of their guys.
Is that how you say it? Okereke?
I've heard different pronunciations. I think it's Okereke.
I thought it was Bobby Okereke.
That's what I've heard too.
I do think that sounds. That's what I would have.
way
That's
more
what I
Okereke.
would
You
have
said that,
said.
and I was just like, damn, that actually sounds.
I can't
way
lie.
More
The
correct.
amount of podcasts I have been consuming of NFL content over the last like 3-4 weeks has been ridiculous. So there's just a ton of different pronunciations of it. I've heard Okereke.
That sounds like it sounds right. Like Okereke, it could be. Maybe just a little too much E in there.
I'm gonna keep it real. Okereke, I don't know. It sounds like if you look at the name, like, and you don't know how to pronounce it, that's how you'd pronounce it.
Actually,
that's
if I'm not
probably-
mistaken, don't we just get the Okereke thing from? Wasn't it who did his intro for the draft where he was reading his thing? Wasn't it Pat McAfee where he was like, "Future Hall of Famer"? I remember he was going crazy. I'm pretty sure it's Pat McAfee. He was like, "Bobby Okereke." And I think we all just said that because he said that. Like Pat McAfee was like Okereke. Now we're like Okereke. He was just reading that shit off the script. Like he didn't know either. This is good. This was a set the record straight moment. All right, so I think we're on to the Jags next. Oh, he's learning it right now. We're making sure.
This year's Super Bowl champions.
Okereke.
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 Let's go,
Damn.
Bobby. Shouts to Bobby Okereke. So are we on to the? I think we're on to the Jags next.
Yeah.
You almost skipped one ahead on us.
Oh, I was looking for myself.
Oh,
'Cause
but
I
I think
was-
you have the Jags though.
Oh.
So I just gave the Colts a D.
Oh, fire. Okay, cool. I have the Jags. Hey, Roy Robertson Harris, 3-year. Good for him.
I like that one.
The Jags did almost nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't do a whole lot. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with their cap space?
Okay, so
let me look it
remind
up.
me.
I don't know. I'm asking you guys.
Oh,
I don't know.
No, honestly, I need to get up.
They're middle of the pack. They have 11 mil right now.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to work with. They didn't really sign anyone for a lot. I mean, yeah, very mediocre. C-. Like,
C-, but I like you said, I like the Roy Robertson Harris move. I do like that one a lot. Got to get him. You got to get him rebagged. And then I think a really underrated one though, because I've loved him for a while. I always said he just needs more reps. It's one of those guys where we're gonna say, it happens all the time where it's like he just needed his opportunity. Get to Ernest Johnson some backup touches. Travis Etienne. He will be a good backup for them, and fans will like Ernest Johnson a lot.
I like their backups. I mean, I'm assuming they still have Hasty
Mhm.
too. I think he's a little firecracker. He can just fucking rip off runs too. Yeah, I like it.
No,
Sure.
it's good. They got good 3 backs down there, and I think that's what they're going for. They're like, let me just get, because it was the whole thing. Like James Robinson wants more touches, and they got rid of him then, and then it was so now they're like, you know what, I need me another power back like we had, but they got rid of James also early in the year for like nothing. That was a whole weird move. But anyways, it's kind of like bring another power back. You got 3 nice backs. ETNs are number 1. I like it. But yeah, C- is like maybe even generous for them. But they're the Jags. We like the Jags.
Yeah, true.
C- them.
All right, Titans.
Oof. The Titans.
I'm gonna keep it real. They've had one of the toughest off seasons I've seen in a long time. I'm
will
exaggerating,
say-
but it's tough.
Dillard, not terrible signing. It's not the best.
No, I agree.
It's an attempt. I think Arden Key, not a bad signing. Aziz Al-Shir, a really good signing, I think.
Really good one.
Kind of surprised that he didn't go for more because he played well last year, but
That's what I was thinking
it's
too.
just the position probably, right? And then Sean Murphy Bunting, not bad.
That's like for only on a 1-year deal, it can't be worth that much either. I thought he was one of those guys who would at least get like a 2-3 year deal.
Yeah.
Feels like they kind of stole him. Yeah, I agree. It's like a bunch of above average guys for what they were, maybe at the position they signed for that class, but it's like nothing crazy. And there were
Yeah.
a lot of moves. What are we thinking for them? I'm thinking
I think a big thing too is they let a lot of their O-line walk,
Mhm.
and they're shopping. From reports where they were shopping Byard and Henry.
Yep.
So it's like my thing is like, in my opinion, like their like close to going into a full rebuild. But you can't even do that unless Tannehill's gone.
But that's the thing is, I almost think that maybe go for them. I think that's almost like what is the necessary has to happen next step. So that's the thing is, it's almost like, do I grade them good or bad for being willing to go to the rebuild? I'm going to say I don't know, so I'm going to give them a C+. Put them right in the middle. Are they doing the right thing? I don't know. Are they doing the wrong thing? I don't know. But no matter what, they're right in the middle. They get a C+. They passed the class.
I don't hate a lot of their signings, to be honest.
Well,
They're
really
nothing
don't.
crazy. It's just like, yeah, I don't know.
I thought Al Shire, though, like you were saying, one of those guys that has a chance to like, where we look back and we're like, how did he go for that little?
Yeah,
If
for
he
sure.
plays good years here, they re-sign him.
Bro, I mean, I don't know. I like it.
Like you said, I like all the little moves. They're just the Titans. They have a lot of shit they got to clean up. All right, on to the AFC West. Take us away with the Broncos.
This is a very, dude, I don't know. I like the Zach Allen, McGlinchey, sure. Ben Powers too, I guess, and Callaway for depth.
Singleton deal's nice too.
What are you thinking?
I think if we don't include the fact they got Sean Payton, I'm thinking B+.
Can we include that? I think we should.
But if we include that, I do think they kind of had an A
they
off
traded
season.
for him, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I'd say honestly, I look at the Broncos and I'm like, you know what? They really did kind of change the culture this offseason.
for
Brought in their
sure.
O linemen. They brought in a lot of old Saints too, and a lot of high character Saints. I'm thinking if you're liking it, I'm thinking that I'm liking an A for them.
I'm cool with that. You got Sean Payton.
Right, given how shitty last year was, but with the expectations in place, they did what they had to do to right the wrongs of, we're not settling for that.
All right.
Kansas City. So when I consider they just won the Super Bowl, I'd say like,
Yeah, how do you like?
I mean, I think they had a great offseason. I definitely don't think they had a bad offseason. I think they did about everything you could do properly. Besides, I mean, like, if I was them, maybe I would have re-signed Orlando Brown, considering what he did for you in the bowl and the whole thing of like, now you're gonna have a lot of chemistry with him and Mahomes. But I get it. It's a business. They looked in perspective of he's not
Chiefs
the
fans
best.
do not like
pass
Orlando
blocker.
Brown. I know you
Yeah.
were talking about that too.
They don't.
They don't. And the only thing that's scary is taking Juwan Taylor and moving him to left and paying him $20 million a year. He got paid more than Orlando Brown, and you're moving a right tackle to a left tackle. That's my only concern.
No,
But
there's a lot of
you also
concern.
won the Super Bowl in a retooling year, so who cares?
But literally. So it's like, I can't give them lower than a B. I also don't know if I can give them an A because there's not necessarily any splashes besides John
There's
Taylor,
not
like you
enough
said.
to be an A.
Yeah,
But it's like, how do you address?
It's a B minus to me.
How do you like analyze it? Because they didn't do anything, but also they didn't have a whole lot.
But if
to
they didn't have
do.
Mahomes, the roster also, like we say, is mid.
Well,
So it's
also,
like,
okay,
Mahomes just elevates your roster that much.
This is also contingent on any wide receiver moves that they may make, because their wide receiver room is not good.
No, it's not.
Not good anymore.
It's
and I
not.
like Sky Moore, and MVS is all right, I guess. He's just a deep threat guy. I think we saw that. They lost Juju. And who am I blanking
Juju
on?
lost to them.
That's true. Well, yeah, they did not want to bring him back. Yeah, I'm cool with B minus.
I think B minus is perfect. I like also the Mike Edwards deal though, for how cheap they got him. 1 year, $3 million. Huge deal. I love, that's awesome. Great, he played great last year. Get him in. See if he has another breakout year this year. I love that signing for the Chiefs. Oh, you're gonna have your hands full with this next one, bro.
All right. We got the
Oof.
Raiders.
This is what happens when you give Josh McDaniels the keys.
Dude, they made so many fucking signings. Holy shit.
Their offseason was weird because it's like they lost some, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe they'll rebuild. And then they added some.
Yeah, no, I would say of all the teams, I actually think I have the least clue what the Raiders are doing.
I actually like their offense.
I do too.
It's their defense that
Okay.
scares the hell out of me.
But do you like them enough to go to the bowl with this
No,
offense?
of course not.
You know what
But
I
I
mean?
don't think they're trying. I don't think they're.
I think, okay, people were like clowning them for getting Jimmy G. If they draft a quarterback and he's the bridge guy, I actually like the move a lot.
It's really only a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
If you look at like
I'm just
the
saying, like,
structure.
and the familiarity with Jimmy Garoppolo and McDaniels, like, I mean, he could cook. Nothing crazy. maybe like slightly better than Russ cooking, but
I would say Jimmy was playing his best football for Josh. I mean, he played good football for I was about to say Trey, for Kyle consistently, but I don't think we ever looked. But back when he was playing with the Patriots, there was the illusion for a little while, like, hey, this guy might be really elite. So
he might be the guy after Brady.
Yeah. So it's like that system was the best for him. It was the check downs, the quick shit. That works well for him.
I actually I don't think I think their offense is going to be fine. I think it's going to be good.
The run game's still going to be elite.
And they have Devontae. They just signed Jacoby Myers. I know they lost Waller, but like they got Hooper and OJ Howard. I don't think they needed an elite tight end. And Waller was just not playing a lot, to be honest.
I think that's part of the reason.
I think that was a huge part of the reason why they traded him.
If you look at like Jacoby Myers in New England, like he was a 1. He's gonna be a 2 now.
I love Jacoby
And
Myers.
great
I like
blocker.
Jacoby
That's
Myers.
the biggest thing about it. He was like, give me my blocker who knows my system. It's a great fit.
Josh Jacobs back on the franchise tag. They should have picked up his 5th year, but Josh Jacobs a dog.
Yeah, that move in hindsight looks terrible now. The not picking
Jacoby
up
Myers coming out of NC State was a dog. And his first year in the preseason, he was catching like 11 passes a game. It was nuts. He was snapping in the preseason. But okay, with all that aside,
throwback.
dude, yeah, I was so hyped for him. I don't know why. It was weird. They also got some other depth too.
The Marcus Epps deal too is a sleeper. They stole Marcus Epps from the Eagles. That was kind of a nice move.
It's kind of hard for me to like gauge this because they made so many signings and then they lost people too. I don't know. What do you think?
This is the offseason that could be like graded so like wrong because like they could snap on offense next year, but they could also look like dog shit.
Oh, yeah. We're either going to look back at this Raiders tenure and be like, Josh McDaniels knew what he wanted and he went to get it, or we're going to be like, Josh McDaniels needs everything his fucking way for shit to work and it still didn't work. Like, there's no in between on how it's going to be viewed. Like, so at this point, it's in Josh McDaniels' hands how we look at him without Belichick. No cap, Josh. It's on you.
I know before it kind of sounded like I was gassing up their offense. I think they'll be fine. Like, I think some people think they're going to be bad, but I think they'll be more than fine. I don't know. I really don't know what to say for this.
I think like a C+ is like fair to
That's
them.
what I was going to say.
Because they haven't
but,
like what did they do to address the defense?
That's the thing. When
And
you look at
that's
like Jerry Tillery, like
that's
what
like
are you
their
doing?
weak spot too.
No, yeah, they lost defenders. I think C+ is like perfect. What do you think? C? You like? A
Yeah,
C+?
what do you think?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I was thinking C+, but then I was going to maybe go a little bit lower. Because like, how much better did they get, or did they get worse?
I actually think
That's the thing, though. They did get worse.
I actually think they upgraded their offense though. Because what are you going in as Renfro as your 2? And like I like Hooper.
Well, they also signed-
I like Howard.
I do too.
I think
Hooper.
and Waller is older and he's getting hurt a lot.
Okay, so this is my thing. The offense last year was very inconsistent. They'd go off for 30 and then they wouldn't score in the entire first half of a game or like get a first down. Who did they play during that game?
Which game was it?
I think it might have happened twice. They like didn't get maybe like 1 or 2 first down the entire first half. I can't remember. It was like against the Broncos or something.
I can definitely remember games like that on fantasy when I'm like, Derek, what are you doing?
Yeah, so like I think they got more consistent on offense. I don't think Jimmy G would ever I don't know.
Throw the script away.
I think that they're just going to be consistent on offense and not really have to worry about that, if that makes sense.
No, I think you're right.
All right, C+, sure.
I like it C+.
Oh.
Is this the first F?
No.
Wait, no, actually, right.
Ravens.
No, yeah. I don't think this is an F either, though. Is it? I think the Chargers have a lot of things they needed that they didn't get, and then so like
their roster's also very good already.
Yeah,
so,
but that's where that makes it tough. Like, was it a bad offseason? Was it like they didn't have it? Didn't have the money for the guys you wanted?
I still think it was relatively bad.
We're
No,
gonna-
because last year there was their big splash.
That's true.
They signed a lot of guys last year.
But like, did a lot of those guys make a big impact this year? Like,
Sorta, maybe.
kind of, but it's like nothing like.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't know. I think I'm going D. I think they're our first D.
I'm cool with that. Not much to say, really.
There's literally nothing to say. If they're curious what happened, you guys re-signed Easton Stick.
They signed-
Darnell Parham.
They signed 2 new people.
Yeah, no, 2 new people, and none of them are going to break the ground with anything happening on the field. Solid signings, but yeah, Eric Kendricks move too and aging. We talk about, linebacker. My thing on linebackers. Love you guys, but my thing. Yeah, that's just all I could say about them. They're getting the first D.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.